Chapter 2 is related to the basic concepts of microeconomics. So in the basic concepts of the microeconomics, the first is what is microeconomics. Microeconomics is related to the individual level. Individual is considered over here. So when we are speaking about the individual level, it is known as the microeconomics. The study of the microeconomics is related to the individual unit or the part of the economy. The focus is on the production, produce, then consume. Then we have supply and demand. Demand and supply coming into play when we are doing a production and we have done some consumption. Apart from our own production and consumption, we need to see the market demand and supply of products and price determination. Basically, it is concerned with the determination of output and price for an individual firm or an industry. So we consider here an individual firm. A firm or we be having an industry, right? An individual firm or we be having the industry. Out of this industry, what is the demand and supply for their produce and their consumption? It focuses on maximization of the individual's gain, right? Now when we are demanding, we need to remember that I demand a cup and a supply is dome. D and D never matches. Okay, so this is what a dome shape is. This is how a cup looks like. So demand curve is always in the shape of a cup, whereas a supply curve is in the shape of a dome. So this is how a supply curve will be there in the shape of a dome. I demand for a cup, right? Now this is what we have, a demand curve. In the demand curve, we say that when the demand is lower, the price is higher. When many people, the demand is high. Therefore, we have when the demand is high, many people are asking for it. So when many people are asking for it, it looks like a profitable business. Therefore, we'll be having that many sellers participate in that product. Therefore, when the demand is higher, the price will be lower. In every curve, whether it is a demand curve or we have it as a supply curve, we'll be having the demand curve or else we have the supply curve, right? In the demand and the supply, we are going to see only about the price in the other side. So this is the price. The quantity demanded versus its price. The demand curve, when the demand and how you can tell it, when the demand is low, the price is high. So they are inversely proportional. Supply, now we have to see the supply, right? This is the supply. When the demand is, the supply is low, the price is low. When the supply is high, the price is also high. So this is the supply curve, right? So supply is directly proportional to the price. Demand is inversely proportional to the price, whereas the supply is directly proportional to the price. These are the two things which we can infer from this diagrams of demand and supply with respect to the price. So what is the price with respect to the quantity demanded and what is the quantity which is supplied versus its price? When the supply is low, the price is also low. When they start supplying high, the prices are increasing. So this is the demand and the supply curve. Law of the demand. In order to know about the law of the demand, we should first keep all the other factors are equal. The demand of a good is inversely proportional to the price of the good. Exceptions are Griffin, Veblen and necessities rule. So what is a Griffin good? It is an essential good for the poor or lower sections of the country. So it is an essential good. Right, even if its price, for example, it is a rice, even price of the rice is going to be increased, people will still purchase the rice and even they start purchasing more, speculation of the prices, right? So Griffin, you have to remember grief. There is a grief The poor section are in grief because the price of the basic commodities or essential goods are in rise. The next thing we are going to see is Veblen groups. So web, right? Web means the goods whose price, when the price is high, more people are onto it. This is a rich section of the society. This is related to the status, right? When the price of the car is high, they demand more of that car. More rich people demand. When the price is more, the rich people demand for it. And necessities goods are the exceptions for it. So what does law of demand says? Very simple. Demand is inversely proportional to the price. This is how we should mention correctly. Demand is inversely proportional to the price. Law of the demand states that if all the factors, we need to keep all the factors as constant and we have to keep it as equal, that is meaning of constant. All the factors are constant. The demand for a good, we are demanding a good. So we say that there is a demand for a good. This demand is inversely proportional to the price of the good. Exception is the Griffin goods, Veblen goods, necessities goods accepted to be scarce. So exception to the law of demand. Determinants of the demand is the price of the product. When the price decreases, the demand is going to increases and vice versa, right? When the price of the product is going to be decreases. When we are having a low price for the product, right? Many people start demanding the product. It is when many people start demanding. If the price is high, many people start demanding. But if the price is high, less people start demanding. Price is low, the demand is high. The price is low, the demand is going to be high, right? When the price is high, less number of the people, right? Intermediate, some intermediate. So if you join these, this is the curve which we are going to get. This, we have to keep the price of the product decreases, many people, the quantity demanded increases, and vice versa. Price of the product, the determinants of the demand is the price determines it and the price of the related goods, and what is the consumer's preferences and size of the population. What does the consumer prefer for? The consumer has certain preferences, right? So what does the consumer prefer, and then what is the size of the population? When a population increases, the demand will increase, right? So therefore, this curve does not apply here. We are keeping all the other factors as constant. Now, when the price falls, the demand increases. When the price of the product decreases, the quantity demanded increases. This is what we have seen in the law of demand, and vice versa. Income is when people's income is increases, they can afford to buy more goods and services, leading to increase in the demand. When my income increases, my demand also increases. So income as well as the demand, right? When the income increases, the demand increases. Price of related goods. So what is related goods like substitute goods and complements affect the demand for a particular good. Here they say that the substitute good is instead of rice, somebody can substitute it with wheat. But for rice, you need salt. More for the complement good is you need milk, and then we have the coffee tea powder. They are complement to each other. Bread and jam is a complementary good which affects a particular product. Consumer preferences, the consumer's taste which influences the market, and the size of the population is increase in the population increases the general demand for goods and services. Now we have to see that there is an elasticity of the demand. What is elasticity is the demand, the responsiveness of the quantity demanded to the change in the price. When price changes, Demand, if it also changes, it is elastic. When the price changes lead to relatively large change in the quantity demanded, we say it as elastic. The consumers are highly responsible to the price. Price change, how the product reacts to the price change is what we call it as the elasticity is price change. Right. So, we'll be saying that the change in the price leads to relatively large quantity in the demand change. We say demand is elastic. In other case, consumers are highly responsive to the price changes. When it is an inelastic demand, we call it as an inelastic when the price changes leads to the small change in the quantity demanded. We say the demand is inelastic. We have the price change, right? The price change is going to lead to no or very less change in the quantity demanded. Such a product is inelastic. Unit elastic demand. When the change in the price leads to the percentage change in the quantity demanded. When a same when the change in the price leads to the equal percentage. When price changes 10%, the quantity demand change is also 10% is what we call it as a unit elastic demand. Responsiveness of the demand matches the change in the price. So here they say that the responsiveness, there is a response, right? The responsiveness of demand of the quantity demanded. The responsiveness of the quantity demanded, it matches the change in the price. Matches the change in the price. Law of the supply. In it states that all other factors are being equal as the price of the good or the service increases, the quantity of the good or the service that suppliers will offer increases and vice versa. Now we are seeing a new law. We have completed demand as well, and elasticity of the demand is first is unit elastic, elastic, unit elastic, and inelastic. Elastic, and then we call it as a unit, it is elastic. So a unit elastic, and then we call it as a inelastic. Right. These are the types of the things and how the determinants of the demand is with respect to the price, income, price of the related goods, and consumer preferences and size of the population. Then we also saw the law of the demand. Now we are going for the law of supply. It states that all the factors are being equal. The price of the good or the service increases, the demand of the good or the services that the suppliers offer will increase, and vice versa. So they say that if the price increases, the demand increases. And vice versa. So it is directly proportional. What are the supply determinants of the supply? First is the price, advancement in the technology. Right. So let us discuss one by one. What is the determinants of the supply? If the price of the raw material used in manufacturing increases, price of the raw material increases. Here we say that the price of the raw material, which I use, the raw materials are becoming expensive, then it becomes more expensive to produce, potentially leading to the decrease in the supply. Right. It is more expensive to produce. Therefore, if I have just 100 rupees, right, the raw material costs previously the raw materials cost 10 rupees. So I bought one raw material can give one output. I bought 10 raw materials and 10 output is being made. Now I have the same or even high 200 rupees. But the cost of the raw material is 50 rupees. Now I can have only 4 output. Even when my profits have increased from 100 rupees, I gained 200, but just 4 output. It is being expensive to produce it. Therefore, we say it as decrease in the supply. If the price of the raw material increases, it results in the decrease in the supply. The price, we are here speaking about the price of the output in the law of demand. Now, here when we are discussing about the determinants of the demand and the supply, here if the price of the raw material it increases, the supply will decrease because it becomes a product more expensive. What is the advancements in the technology? And enhance production efficiency, reduce the cost and increase supply. Right. It enhance the efficiency, it reduce the cost, therefore we can produce it more. But how? For same 100 rupees, if raw material is available for 1 rupees, or because of the technology innovation, the raw material is available cheap. For example, the raw material is cotton. Because of BT cotton, some technology innovation, there is no pest attacking the cotton. Therefore, we have more productivity of the cotton. The raw material is now cheaper. Therefore, I can make 100 outputs. Technology will enhance the production efficiency. Supply is more or less related to the production, right? If the raw material is increasing, if the raw material is becoming expensive, here we say that raw material is expensive, we say production is becoming expensive. When the production is expensive, there is a decrease in the supply. There is a decrease in the supply. Advancement in the technology, we say advancement in technology. It decreases the production efficiency. The efficiency is being decreased, right? It decreases the production efficiency. Therefore, we say that increases the supply. It is supposed to increase the supply, right? If the new film is entering into the market, their overall supply might increase because initially for testing they would have produced 100 output. Later on, they would increase the output for new films, right? Conversely, if existing film exit, if an existing film, previously there is a film, that film has exited. When they are exited, the supply is going to decrease. If new film is going to come, the supply is increasing. If they are exiting, the supply is decreasing. Expectations about the future prices. When you are expecting about the future price or changes in the market conditions, they can influence the supply. For example, if producers anticipate a significant increase in the price of the product, they might reduce the current supply to take advantage of the higher profits. Right. This is called as future price expectation. In future, the price can be high. In future, the price is high means they will reduce the production. Reduce the production and they will think that they can produce in the future itself to take advantage of high profit later. Government policies and regulations can affect the supply of goods and services. The price elasticity of the supply. We have seen the price elasticity of the demand. So price elasticity in the sense, if price increases, what is the reaction for the supply? If price increases, it is a ratio of percentage change in the quantity supplied to the percentage change in the prices. So it is a ratio of the percentage change and the quantity demanded, supplied. The quantity supplied divided by the percentage change in the percentage change, right? In the price. Supply divided by the price. It is a measure of responsiveness of the quantity of the goods supplied in the market with the changes in the prices. If the supply of the goods completely ceases, when the price of the goods slightly drops, then the supply becomes infinite when there is a slight increase in the price of the goods. So if the price is dropping, the supply is being cut. And if the price is increasing, the supply becomes infinite. Many supply will come here. Therefore, the supply is said to be perfectly elastic. So if the price drops, the supply also will drop. The price increase, the supply will increase. Therefore, we say here it is having a complete elasticity. The supply does not get affected with the change in the price. It is inelastic. If the price of the goods exactly equal to the supply of the goods in the market, then the supply is unitary elastic. Shift in the demand curve. When does the demand curve shifts? Shift in the demand curve. The demand for a commodity change is what we call it as a shift. It changes because if the other than the price of the commodity, it is known as change in the any factor other than the price. For price, we have elasticity. Elasticity of supply is determined with the help of the price. So, except price, for any other factor, for any other commodity, if we say there is a change, then it is called as the shift in the demand curve. When the demand for a commodity changes due to the change in the any factor other than the price of the commodity, then it is known as a change in the demand. Demand curve of a commodity may shift due to the change in the price of the sustainable good, substitute good. So we'll be having the change if there is a change in the price of substitute good. If there is a change in the price of the substitute good. Change in the price of the complementary good and change in the income of the buyer and change in the taste and the preferences, change in the population, change in distribution of the income and change in season and weather. In case demand, the demand curve shifts towards the right. In case of decrease in the demand curve shifts towards the left. So increase means it is going to the right and decrease means it will go to the left. The demand curve will go to the left. Now this is for the demand curve. Shift in the demand. Previously we are seeing related to the supply. Till here we are seeing related to the, till here it was related to supply, right? Now what is the change in the demand curve? When the demand for the commodity changes due to the change in any factor, right? The change can be due to any factor. This factor is going to be except change in any factor. This is going to be except the price of the commodity. If the price is going to demand is going to increase, the curve will shift towards the right. Demand decrease. We are not speaking here about the price itself. So we are speaking about the demand. Demand, if it is increasing, so what happens if demand is increasing? The curve shifts over the right. If demand is decreasing, the curve shifts over the left. What is a market equilibrium? It refers to a situation. We have a situation where the quantity of the product or the service demanded by the buyers is equal to the quantity supplied by the sellers, is what we call it as the market in equilibrium. When the demand, quantity of the product or the service demanded by the buyers, the quantity which is demanded by the buyers is equal to the quantity supplier is the seller, the supplied by the sellers. The quantity demanded by the buyers is equal to the quantity which is supplied by the sellers at a particular price. If it is a point where intents of the buyers and the intentions of the buyers and the sellers are matching, it results in the market balance. When both the person's intentions are matched. Production possibility frontier. We are speaking about the production. If the point, it is a point in the curve, we have a curve which shows the maximum amount of the good that can be produced in the economy for a given amount of another good and vice versa. Right. We have a curve, right? It shows a maximum amount of A can be produced in an economy by giving an for any given amount of another good, B. We have a box for 100 rupees. Let's say We have A and then we have B. A costs 20 rupees and B costs 10 rupees. Right. First we buy 5A and then 0. 4 we have, when we are buying 4 we can buy this 2. 3, 4. And we have 2, 6. 1, 8. 0, 10. So here we will be having a curve, right? When we are taking A and then B. So from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is the production possibility frontier. We have to compare two goods, right? It is a point, any point in the curve which shows maximum amount of a good. What is the maximum amount of the good that can be produced in the economy for a given amount of another good? It gives the combinations of the goods that can be produced when the resources of the economy are fully utilized. Combination. So we say here the combination of the goods is produced. When such combination is produced, the resources are fully utilized. When the resources are fully utilized, such a combination of the resources are produced. Law of variable proportions. It is a marginal product of a variable factor initially rises with the input, but after reaching a certain point, certain level of employment, it starts falling. So the law of variable proportion. Initially it is increasing, but after some point it falls, right? So it is the marginal product of a variable factor. Factor input, the marginal product of a variable factor input. Initially it rises with its input level, but after it is reaching a certain level of employment, it starts falling down. What is a perfect competition? There are many buyers and sellers offering initial products, right? No single buyer or seller has control over the price. Agriculture markets are where the rice, wheat exhibit the characteristics of perfect competition. Monopolistic and monopsony. Monopolistic is one seller. Monopsony is one buyer. The buyer name is, you can imagine it as Sony. So who is the buyer? Monopsony. Only one buyer is available. Monopolistic competition refers to the market with many sellers are offering the similar but no identical products. Each seller has some control over the price and can differentiate their product through branding, marketing, and product features. Monopsy is a market where there is only one buyer, monopsonist. Like monopoly, monopsonist also has imperfect market conditions. The difference between monopoly and monopsony is primarily in difference between the controlling entities. A single buyer dominates a monopsonized market while an individual seller controls a monopsonized market. Capital to the output ratio, right? We have a capital. How much capital I have spent for getting an output? So for I spend 1000 rupees and I get 10 output. So capital to output ratio is 10. But if I get 100 outputs, sorry, capital to output ratio initially was 100. But if I get 100, it will be 10. Capital to output ratio will be 10, right? So lower the capital to output ratio, we can tell that it was a high productivity. It is a measure capital to output ratio. It is a measure which is used to quantify the amount of the capital is required to produce a unit of the output or the goods and the services. Capital to output ratio is the total capital stock divided by the total output. So here we say we have the total capital stock divided by the total output. So this is the total capital stock which is divided by the total output, which provides insights into the efficiency and productivity of the economy and or industry. The lower capital to output ratio indicates that less capital is required to produce a unit of output, suggesting higher efficiency and productivity. Less capital is required for producing more output, higher efficiency and productivity. Higher capital to output ratio indicates that more capital is needed to the same level of the output, which may suggest low efficiency. We have the substitute goods and then we also have the complementary goods. So there is something called as substitute and complementary. Right. Now what is a substitute? These are the goods which can be used in place of another for the satisfaction of a specific want, but this has to be used together to satisfy a specific want. In case of these goods, there is always a positive relationship between the price of the commodity and the demand. They are having an inverse relationship with the price of the commodity and the quantity demanded for the goods. What they are telling is if the price rises, the quantity demanded is also rising. If the price is decreasing, the quantity demanded also decreasing. Right? Direct, and then this is a direct relationship. Indirect relationship is if the price rises, the quantity will decrease. So indirect relationship is for the complementary good. Price. The cross demand is positive. For this good, the cross demand is negative. Degree of cross elasticity is less than 1. It is less than 0. Right. We have the cross demand is positive and cross demand is negative. So when the substitute good, if the price of the price and this, what does it mean? If the price of the substitute good is going to increases, the quantity demanded of the, let's say if the price of a good A and B is a substitute. If the price of A increases, the quantity demanded of B increases. So this is having a positive demand, a positive curve. If the price increases, the quantity decreases, usually in case of complementary goods. We say that the cross demand is positive and the cross demand is negative over here. Less than 1 elasticity and elasticity is less than 0. The increase in the price of the commodity increases the demand for the substitute goods and vice versa, increase which decreases the demand for the supplementary goods. Example is Chrome and Firefox, Nike and Adidas, Maggi and noodles, coffee and cheese, cake, pencil, eraser, shoes and polish. Giffen good is used by the poor. You could say economically low income people are using Giffen. Grief you can remember. Giffen. Veblen is used by the high class people are using Veblen, right? Giffen, and then we have Veblen, Web. Income elasticity of demand, how the income elasticity of the demand looks like. Now what is a Giffen good? Giffen good is typically an inferior good. We can say it as an inferior good. Right. The low income, it is a low income and it is a non-luxury product. Low income means it will be a non-luxury product, right? When there is a low income, it is going to be a non-luxury product that defines the standard economic and consumer demand theory. Demand for the Giffen good is going to rises when the price is going to be rises and falls when the price is going to be falls. For example, if the price of this is because of the speculation, market speculation and fear, right? Demand increases even for this low income non-luxury product, the demand increases when the price increases and the demand falls when the price falls. Of an inferior good. The same thing for a superior good, the demand is going to increases when the price rises and the demand falls when the price is going to be false. The same for a Veblen good, which is a superior good, designer jewelry, luxury cars. It is good for which demand increases as the price increases. These are typically high quality goods that are made up of that are made well and are exclusive and are a status symbol. Example is a designer jewelry, yachts, luxury cars. Income elasticity of the demand. The income elasticity of the demand is the responsiveness of the quantity demanded for a good to change in the consumer's income, right? Income elasticity of the demand. First, we have seen the elasticity of the demand. Here, separately, we are learning about the income elasticity of the demand. So, in income elasticity, it is related to the change in the income of consumer. The change in the income of the consumer. What is the quantity demanded if there is a change in the consumer's income? It is a measure of the ratio of percentage change in the quantity demanded to the percentage change in the income. Next is normal goods and inferior good is those demand decreases when the consumer's income increases. Decrease in the demand when the consumer income decreases. Course, cloth, the cycle, etc. Negative income elasticity of the demand. Right. It is with respect to the income elasticity. Here also we have seen that cross demand, which is positive cross demand in the sense when one product is going low, the other product will rise because this is a substitute. Therefore, cross demand is positive, right? And the cross demand is negative because if this product goes down, demand of A goes down, the demand of the complementary good also goes down. So the cross demand is negative over here. Less than 1 is elasticity, degree of cross elasticity is less than 1, and the degree of cross elasticity here it is going less than 0 itself. We are seeing cross elasticity, but here we are seeing that normal goods versus the inferior goods. The demand of whose decreases when the income increases is the inferior goods. The demand of the goods rises as the consumer income increases. Example, iPhone, LG TV, etc. Positive income elasticity of the demand. Normal goods where income elasticity of demand is equal to 0 is between 0 and 1. Normal goods, right? 0 to 1, but this is going less than referred as necessity goods where the products are that serves the consumers regardless of the changes in the income. But for normal goods, the income elasticity is greater than 1 if it is called as a luxury goods. Law of diminishing marginal product. It says that if we keep on increasing the input, if we keep on, there is an increase in the input, then outputs are fixed. Then the product will increase initially till a certain point, after which the resulting addition to the output. Marginal production of the input will start falling. One labor is producing 80 units per hour. So 8 hours of working day. 10 unit per hour. If they are doing overwork, there is a diminish, right? This is what we call it as a law of diminishing marginal product. Diminishes. If we are overdoing something, it diminishes is what? Law of diminishing marginal product. Marginal rate of substitution. It is defined as a rate. We have a rate at which the consumer is ready to exchange one good for another at the same level of which is used to analyze the indifference curve. Marginal rate of substitution is related to the exchange. So the marginal rate of substitution is related to the exchange. Consumer's equilibrium. Consumer's equilibrium refers to the situation when he spends his money or purchases a commodity in such a way that yields him a maximum satisfaction and has no urge to change. Indifference curve. An indifference curve is a graph representation of a combination of two goods that provide the same level of satisfaction. So indifference curve is there is no difference, right? This occurs when we have two goods. The two goods say produce the same level of satisfaction. Produce the same. The two goods are producing the same level of satisfaction. Which means that the quantity of the good increases, the quantity of other good decreases to maintain the same level of satisfaction. Market structure refers to the way that various industries are classified and differentiated in accordance with the degree and nature of the competition for product and services. Perfect competition is theoretical extreme. Fruit sellers Foreign exchange market. Monopolistic competition is where we have hairdressers, taxi companies. Oligopoly is supermarkets, and monopoly is a theoretical example. What is marginal propensity to consume? It is the extra income that a person spends instead of saving. Marginal propensity to save is the increase in the income that is not spent. Instead, it was used for saving. Some increase in the income, the increased income. So we say here that the increased income is saved in the marginal propensity to save. Right. Lewis' model suggests that the surplus labor in the agriculture could be redirected to the manufacturing sector by offering wages, agriculture to manufacturing, wages to attract them. This was put forth by the economist William Arthur Lewis in 1954.